Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Movie Mates video. I am Matthew, of course, joined by one of co-host and best friend.
Callum.
Hey man, lovely to see you. On today's video, we're reviewing the second episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is recently aired, this Friday. So I'm going to pass over to Cam to explain what's been going on in this TV show so far.
So, spoilers for this episode. In last episode, we see that Sam has given up the shield, and then the government, decides to redistribute that to a new character that we're introduced to, John Walker, to become the new Captain America. And for the first time in the show so far, Bucky and Sam converge in this episode. They finally meet up to take on the Flag Smasher gang, and it's sort of an action-filled episode, not massive on content. So I think this will be a shorter episode for
I
us.
think so.
We've sort of established before in the previous episode that theories on this series are going to be very minimal. I think because there's no sort of comic precedent, for this
Yes.
exact team up. The characters interact in the comics briefly, but there's no sort of story basis that we can pinpoint to build theories off of. So yeah, I think most episodes, from this one on are going to be minimal on comments, really.
Yeah, I think so, mate. And I think the fact that it's a 6 episode miniseries rather than an 8 or 9 episode one, that helps it as well, to be honest. I think so. But yeah, just before we kick off today's review, thank you very much for everyone who supported us recently. And if you want to see our review of the premiere of this TV show, you can check out our review in the Falcon Winter Soldier playlist, which I will create when this video is up. So so yeah, as I say, we'll be doing these kind of mini reviews every week up until it finishes. So yeah, as I said, we said this again off podcast, and we just recorded a Riverdale one. Not much notes for this one. Again,
No.
it's not that it's action packed, but not content packed, which is what you described it as, which I think is fair enough. And yeah, I'll pass over to you, man, if you want to kick us off, and I'll chip in where I can.
Yeah, I think that this episode, it's the exact same runtime as last episode, but now with a previously on, so I would say it's at least 50% action, and
Mhm.
unless you're being, sort of that action is good, I feel like that there isn't much to say.
Yeah,
I think we try to sort of
that's
steer
literally
away
one of
from
my
that and
points.
focus more on story, because it,
Yeah,
it sort of goes without saying. Sometimes the editing pace in Marvel projects isn't great. The choreography I think is always brilliant. So I don't think there's
absolutely.
too much to say there. But here, I think we open with John Walker, the newly appointed Captain America, and I just sort of wanted to put to you, we talked about last week. Should there have been a new Captain America? Is Steve really dead? Maybe there are more theories than we thought, but is Steve really dead? Should Sam have given up the shield? And here, we see that the U.S. government has chosen John Walker based on his military record and psych evaluations. Every reason that they think is criteria to become the new Captain America. But one thing that does really bug me, and I think it's pretty much Sam's sentiment. He expected, I presume, to never see another Captain America because people should recognize that Steve can never be replaced. But if you're gonna replace him, Captain America, even by admission of the U.S. government in the last episode, is a symbol of the people. He's this U.S. figurehead. He's America's hero. I mean, if you're gonna choose a new Captain America ever, to replace Steve Rogers, they should have been chosen by the people.
Yeah, and it's some kind of democratic vote or something. Yeah, I absolutely agree. That being said, one thing that really surprised me this episode, mate, I didn't expect it to start off from like a John Walker perspective. To be honest with you, I thought that was
Hmm.
really surprising. And I gotta be honest with you, mate, a bit of a hot take. I'm not too sure. He seems like a nice guy. I don't know why. He seems like maybe he seems a bit. I don't even think he seems that smug. He even says himself, "I'm not trying to replace Steve. I'm just trying to be the best version of him that I can be." Like he seems pretty okay. Like and by it seems of it, like he seems to be like a very well respected soldier in this universe. I think they said like they've given him loads of like strength tests and stuff, and he's like peak physical condition and those kind of things. And he even says like it doesn't matter about sort of the strength and the awards and stuff. Like it's about the sort of the guts of Captain America. That's what Cap needs. And like I don't know, I think obviously he will have a villainous route or something. By the end of the episode, there is an allusion to that. But that being said, at the start, certainly I kind of thought he was certainly quite nice. What about you?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and it's interesting where they're going to take it. It's either that Kevin Feige is sort of doing what he did with WandaVision, and going an obvious route, but then treating it like a twist. Like what he did
Yeah.
with Agatha Harkness. Like, she's actually Agatha Harkness, and she's the villain. And we're like, yeah, yeah. I mean, we've known for like a year. If
Yeah.
at the end of episode
Yeah.
4, it's like, oh my god, like John Walker does something evil and he's a villain, and we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, obviously. So it's either that they're presenting him as an objectively good guy with then an extreme breakneck turn at the end of one of the upcoming episodes. It's either that they're going to do that, or that he and in that scenario he would be evil all along, or something happens to corrupt him, which I think would be my preference, because I don't think I want them to betray this nice character. I would rather something happens in a subsequent episode that
Yeah.
corrupts him, rather than
I think
them
so.
sort of insulting the intelligence of the viewer and being like, haha, we've tricked you.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's either going to go down one of two ways. I think either maybe Zemo would corrupt him, something like that. Or I even think maybe he, we see in this episode, he tries to help the Falcon Winter Soldier, but it ends up in a colossal fail. You know what I mean? Like they all get their asses handed to them. And I think maybe it could turn out like the government just turns their back on him and says, yeah, this isn't going to work. Actually, we're taking this all away from you. And then he maybe has like a mental breakdown or something. I don't
Hmm.
know, something about his character really reminds me of the character of Nuke from the comics, or certainly the Jessica
Yeah.
Jones TV show. That's kind of like that American war hero who has these expectations that he just doesn't live up to, or the government turn it back on him, or something like that. I think those parallels really do stand true. And that being said, I actually think in this episode we get a proper look at all of them in their costumes in the daylight. That I've never seen like such a great sort of Falcon costume, I think, in the MCU so far. I think it's absolutely amazing. Bucky's costume, there's not much to it, but that being said, it works. Yes, well, I keep calling him US Agent. That is what he's called in the comics, but here, well,
Hmm.
we'll just call him New Cap, will we? I think the New Cap costume's really, really good, actually. It sort of has this sort of militaristic sort of vibe to it as well. I think it looks great in the daylight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think it is meant to look like a shit version of the Captain America
It
comic,
is, yeah,
the Captain America
the
costume, because he's meant to be,
shit version of
the
Captain
sort of
America.
yeah, the shit, budget version of Captain America. And you mentioned that it might be Zemo that corrupts him. I also feel like if they're committed to never bringing back Chris Evans, this may be their sort of their bypass to doing like a Hydra cap. Like it could be
Yeah,
that
that's a
Hydra
really
get
good
a
shot.
hold of him and he's
Yeah,
brainwashed, sort of in the same way that the Winter Soldier was, and that he becomes the realized version
love
of
that.
Hydra cap from the comics
I would
without
absolutely love
needing
that.
Chris Evans.
Yeah, for sure. I would absolutely love that, mate. That'd be fantastic. You mentioned Chris Evans there. Obviously, plays the original Cap. You have no idea how close I was to thinking that. Do you know when they introduced the Isaiah character, this other super
Hmm.
soldier, when they go up to this house in Maryland? You have no idea how I thought that was going to be like a retired Steve Rogers house or something like that. I was like, don't do this, don't do this. I'm glad part of me's glad they don't, but I don't know. I would it would blow my mind if like there's like an old Cap, if they have a different actor to play old Cap, even that would be great. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they're going to introduce an old Cap, or do you think they're just not mentioning?
Well, I think that Steve Rogers as a character is a great guy. I think there's sort of little scope to show him in. I think you have the war, which they've covered, and then you have him with the Avengers, which they've covered, and then you've had him as like a super spy. I think they've done it all. I think if that was, it's a shame for me. I know you love the goodbye to Cap. You love that sort of cyclical arc. Where he went back to where he started. I thought that sort of betrayed his character,
I can understand
and
why. Yeah,
how he, because it implies that he hadn't grown, that he sort of just, abandons his timeline. So for me, it was the wrong send off, but I think it was the right time for the send off. So I
yes,
think
yeah,
I'm comfortable not seeing him again.
yeah. I think that's fair. I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from there, and it's obviously made clear. Obviously, I've mentioned that Isaiah character here. I'm not sure if he is a pre-existing character from the comics, mate. And Isaiah.
Yeah, yeah, he's like the Black Captain America, and then
Oh no way.
his grandson, which we see answer the door, is Elijah Bradley, who's Patriot from the Young
Patriot.
Avengers.
That's so interesting, mate. I love that. I actually think it's really interesting to have that kind of that kind of character there. It kind of, yeah, it sort of alludes to he is a super soldier as well, which is interesting. And obviously, I'm not sure if it's confirmed here, but it's certainly alluded to by Falcon. He says that the Flag Smashers are certainly super soldiers. So I'm intrigued to know where this sort of super soldier serum is coming from. Is it the government or something like that? Is it Hydra? Where do you think they're going with it?
I mean, I suppose, I mean, this is a very, baseless,
Oh no, it's okay. Go
shout,
for it.
but we saw, in Captain America: Civil War, that Baron Zemo had shot and killed all of the sort of Winter Soldier super soldiers that were within, I think it was Siberia, the
Yeah,
Siberian
yeah,
Hydra uh, base. I think if there's some kind of blood transfusion there, because the super soldier serum is flowing through their veins. I suppose there could have been something there. Aside
yeah.
from that, I've sort of no basis for theorizing.
Yeah, no, it's hard to, it is hard to pick it out, to be honest with you. It really is hard to suggest where they could go with it.
And we've talked about the quality and the frequency of the fight scenes within this episode,
Yeah.
and you've mentioned the super powered flag smashers. Are you getting a bit tired of powered fight scenes?
I do miss the classic sort of Daredevil style where it's just like the normal dudes fighting it out. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I get it. It's an easy way to sort of introduce, the sort of the super soldier type characters. It's a very easy way to have sort of unnoticeable CGI in the action scenes, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Captain America's never really been a character with massive CGI, apart from like maybe the shield, but even then, like a lot of it probably is prosthetics and stuff in terms of he's actually carrying it. But that being said, with the action scenes, I suppose it is a bit tiring. We even with the MCU, we've seen a lot of on top of a truck action scenes, namely with Captain America in Age of Ultron. It's a, I'm not sure whether that's what they're trying to play with. I suppose it is a slight nod to that. Especially when like US agent Cap, sorry, new Cap gets like knocked on the back of a car. That sort of was what happened to Steve Rogers in that movie. But I don't know. I think the MCU, you have to be careful they're not doing these cut and paste action scenes, be it on the top of trucks or and those kind of things. I would just love if it was just like a proper brawl, to be honest with you, Daredevil or Punisher style, if that makes sense. What about you, mate?
Yeah. Yeah, I like the powerless brawls, as you said, Daredevil and Punisher. And there's something to be said about, Doctor Strange action sequences.
Yes,
But
yes.
even, in WandaVision, where they were just hurling colored magic at each other, with seemingly no impact, I was just a bit numb to it. And
Yeah.
here, it's just superpowered people exchanging punches. Like it was sort of yeah, it was it,
I always
I was a bit numb to it once again.
You know what it is, man. It's a really good question you've asked there, and it kind of sprung this thought in my head. I think my favorite action scenes in superhero films are when the superheroes are saving people. One that springs to mind is the Raimi train scene. It's not against it's obviously there is an element of hero versus villain there, but at its core, it's not a superhero versus supervillain fight scene. It's him saving the city from
Hmm.
this train. Especially another one that springs to mind kind of as well is it's sort of a different sort of spin in that sort of genre of action scenes, but it's when Cap sort of has to sort of not let Bucky escape within the helicopter in Civil War. I think it's a really great scene. And I don't know, at their core, superheroes are there to save the civilians. So I kind of feel like those action scenes where they just have to save the people rather than fight a villain, I think they're always more true to character, true to form. So I would like to see more of that in this show rather than just A versus B, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think raw emotion also plays a part there. And I think we'll probably see that when Bucky faces up against Zemo once again. Seeing as it's been so many years since we've seen them together, and he was used by Zemo. And speaking of Zemo, we see a glimpse of him
Yeah, we
this
do. We
week,
do.
and I'm so excited to see more of him. Daniel Bruhl, I think, gave probably my favorite MCU villain performance. In the films. I think that there's obviously
It's up there, like, yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. There's David Tennant as Kilgrave. I think movie wise, Daniel Bruhl is
He's
got
up there, like,
God
yeah.
tier.
Yeah, I think so. He's definitely up there for me with Michael B. Jordan. He's up there with
Mm,
he's up
Michael
there.
Keaton.
Michael Keaton, Kate Blanchett. I think he's definitely up there. That
Mm,
was a really good year or time span for villains to be for like 2016
yeah.
to 2017. That was fantastic. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited to see where that character goes. It surprises me that he's actually. I mean, I suppose it does make sense that he's in prison or this sort of like asylum, or whatever it is. But I don't know. I feel like he obviously we see him sort of in the posters and stuff, like in the classic Zemo attire, the purple mask, the trench coat, so I'm really excited to see that, and I'm actually looking forward to see Emily Van Camp back as Sharon Carter. Obviously they mention her here.
Yeah.
She's always one of my favorite characters in the Cap movies, so I'm looking forward to seeing her back as well.
I do love the theory that Zemo is wearing the purple ribbed mask to look like Thanos so that he can use that to taunt them. Like I love that, but
Can
it's
you imagine if
obviously
that? Can you
that's
imagine that?
obviously horseshit.
But imagine though, that would be even. I would laugh my ass off if that was the case. If he just says, "Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how you convey that like through words.
that's true." No, but
Like
all he has to do
he
is like click his
he stands
fingers.
on the
That's
top
it.
of something and then goes, I'm Thanos." Like
Yeah.
I don't know how you convey that.
Dude, that is fantastic. That would blow my mind, to be honest with you. But yeah, Daniel Bruhl's just fantastic. I think he just is Zemo for me from the comics. I think he's a. I mean, people always say that Cap doesn't have the greatest rogues gallery. I actually think he does have a pretty good rogues gallery, to be honest with you. Red Skull, Zemo, Crossbones. I'm not sure. Crossbones is dead, isn't he? He is. He's super dead. Super
Yeah,
dead.
he blew himself up in Lagos.
Yeah, sorry, my mistake. But I mean that concludes my notes on the episode. Mate, as I say, I didn't have much. If
Me
there's
too.
anything from your side, is that you as well?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think this went on longer than both of us expected.
Well, dude, I'd love to hear your rating for this episode, man.
Uh, I think that there's not much to go on because I think with TV shows, we're fairly consistent in sort of comparing it to itself.
Yeah,
We sort of go off like if we have no complaints, it's a 10, and then every subsequent episode is compared to that. Last week I don't think there was anything to criticize except maybe there was sort of a slight pace issue in that the two titular characters never actually
yeah,
cross paths. But here, that's of course an improvement on that. I thought the action scenes, whilst well choreographed, there was maybe a bit of a question of, it's just a super powered punch up, which of course, what can we expect? But I think at this point in the MCU, we have to maybe hope for something different, to sort of stave off, Marvel fatigue, which I think this year is probably inevitable for a lot of people.
agreed
I think
for
we'll
sure.
power through it, but I think for a lot of people with, like 6 Disney Plus shows and 4 movies, I think that's just going to be exhausting for some people.
Yeah, I think it'll be a
So I
burnout
think
there.
this
Yeah,
episode was I would say the same level as last week, and I think I gave it a 9.5. So
yeah.
I'd stick to that. I'd say.
Yeah, man, I think that's a great analysis, to be honest with you, Cal. I think it's a fantastic episode, a really great show so far. And one thing I haven't really mentioned, I think the dynamic between Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan is fantastic. I think they have amazing chemistry. I love their interactions in this episode. It's got to be a 10. Yeah, I love this again. It's two tens, mate. It's a perfect show so far for me. No complaints, no complaints. But yeah, thank you very much for today, mate. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on the show down below. We'd love to hear them. And of course, our time codes on email is in the description below. You probably don't need time codes by now if you're at this point. But that being said, they're there if you need them.
Yeah, I mean the time codes at this point are
Redundant.
spoiler review and then conclusion. Like I think it'll be easy enough
Pretty
to
brief.
navigate by this point.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, check out our Falcon Winter Soldier playlist as well. And yeah, hope you guys are all well. Family and friends are all safe and well too. Take care and bye bye.
Bye.